I just cannot seem to make my wife happy. What can I change? My wife, 40, and I, 40 have been married for 15 years. We have had our ups and downs. I have always tried to learn from the fights and improve our relationship. I will just start. It is common in our country to live with family. The inheritance goes to sons in the family, so responsibility comes to sons to take care of parents. I still live with my mother. We used to live with my brother and his family, but I bought his share out, and he has now moved to another place. It was divided into 3 parts: my mom, me, and my brother, so I paid 1/3 of supposed worth of the property. The house was old and needed to be rebuilt. The house and the land is under my mom's name. When building the house, my wife suggested that I keep the property in my name because I would be spending my money to build the house. I talked to my mom, and she seemed concerned because there have been a lot of instances where sons got the property in their name and kicked their parents out. It had recently happened to our close neighbor, so my mom was on edge. Honestly, I was a bit hurt but understood her concern. So, I agreed the house and land would still be under my mom's name. My wife said she is not happy and my brother and his family might claim our house after my mom's passing. We fought a bit, and I told my wife to find a solution that makes her happy. My wife found a lawyer and made an official document, signed in front of government officials and legally binding, that stated no matter what I would get the inheritance and my brother will get nothing. My brother and his wife also signed that paper. I thought everything is settled and everyone is happy. But my wife was still not happy with this arrangement, and she did not feel the house being built was hers. She used to say this all the time. I was alone when the construction began and had to oversee everything myself. We had major fights and I complained that she was not helping me. She made no monetary contribution. She had a business that would only earn enough for grocery. I used to get up every day at 6 a.m. and go to construction site L, come back at 9 a.m. to home, work full-time, and check up on construction during lunch and start work again. The reason I had to be there was because workers would run out of things and would just complain about lack of material and stop working. I would personally check if anything would stop the work on that day and buy and arrange things so that work would not be disturbed. My wife and I had massive fights. She even ran away for a few days without telling anyone. She came back like nothing happened. Then I called her brother and sister and said we need to talk and we need to figure out a solution. We talked, and she said she would improve and be of more help. Our house was almost built at this point, so I accepted and things got better. She would still sometimes say the house doesn't feel like hers. I would ignore and I kinda understood because the property was under my mom's name. After 2 years, she got a high-paying job. I still make 2.5x more than her. Used to be like 10x. She saved a substantial amount of money, enough to put a down payment on the property, but not enough to outright buy it. I was happy for her. I helped her buy a new property. She put 40% from her savings, 40% loan, and I contributed 20% from my savings. I worked day and night to find a property she liked. We agreed to buy it. I finally thought she would be happy to have her own property on her name. But she was not. No thank you, no smiling. She was just indifferent at the best and sad and angry at her worst. I talked to her and said, "Why are you not happy? You have a property under your name. I thought this is what you wanted. Why not a smile and not even a thank you?" She just said, "You have never thanked me for cooking and cleaning. Why should I thank you for this? It is just not our culture." She said she works 14 hours a day. She wakes up at 6, leaves for work at 8, comes back at 6, and when she is done in the kitchen, it is around 8. So technically she is right. But I also work. I cook and clean. She cooks during weekdays and I clean, and I cook during weekends and she cleans. This surprised the FCK out of me and is giving me existential crisis. I felt like I worked so hard to help with small and big things, but I have not been able to make her happy. My father was abusive asshole, so it always was in the back of my mind not to be like him. I feel like my effort not to be like any other abusive husband doesn't matter. I want to keep my marriage fun and happy. I try and organize multi-day international vacations twice a year. She is also not happy during those. She would complain about seeing similar stuffs even in different countries. She never plans or suggests a place. She pouts during the whole vacation. We used to go out to eat every Friday evening, so she doesn't need to cook on Fridays. Then she started complaining about food and the places we would go and would get upset. And that also broke down. We no longer do that. I helped as much as I could. But when I try to talk to her and say we need to improve as a couple, she just says we have been married for 15 years and this is okay. There is nothing to improve, and there will be fights between couples, and this is fine. This buying new property in her name thing happened 2 months ago. I kinda was expecting this to be such a milestone and bring new happiness in our life. My wife would have a property in her name. I worked so hard for it. I could not talk to her for 2 weeks because I was literally looking for something that she would like every waking minute. After everything was finalized, I told her I was sorry that I was busy with this and let's celebrate by going out. We went out. She did not talk to me. I ordered food. She didn't touch the food. I asked her what's wrong. She didn't speak. I tried to joke, but she was cold towards me. I asked her next day. She said she was irritated because of heat. It was summer in my country. I thought okay. Then when I tried to kiss her, she would avoid it, refuse hugs and sex. I got so confused. This was supposed to be a major milestone and make us even closer and happier, but this continued for 2 more weeks. After that, something inside me died. I no longer want to do anything anymore for her. I cannot be happy. I just feel like everything I do is useless. She now shows affection, but I no longer feel it. I just feel like no matter what I do, she will never be happy. I feel like she is just putting up facade and acting happy now because literally nothing has changed. The new property is still in her name. The old house is still in my mother's name. I can no longer bring myself to laugh or be happy around her. I have been a grumpy guy for 2 months now. I feel terrible and depressed. TLDR. I feel like I did all the small and big things for my wife, but just cannot make her happy. Now I have turned into a grumpy old guy. What can I change to better this relationship?